Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and oh hi everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi video, and today we're here to talk about Danmachi Season 4 Episode 15 or Season 4 Part 2 Episode 4, or as the title of the episode is called, Ignis. I'm very excited to talk about this episode because there's some things that I love that they're doing and some things that I love that they've added to the episode, but I also feel like this stuff could have been also added to previous episodes to certain characters. So there are some really good things specifically for this episode, but some things that I feel could have probably been done better in previous episodes. So we're going to talk about all of that, but before we get into it, of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi content. We're nearly at 1,000 subscribers and 70% of you guys do not subscribe, so hitting that subscribe button would be amazing. And of course, leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys thought about the episode. Let me know, do you guys like the episode? What do you think about certain things they added, certain things they might have not addressed really well? Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, this episode was, like I said, pretty darn good. I love the way that they're handling, again, like I've said, the simultaneous approach for approaching the party as well as Belle and Ryu at the same time, because in the light novel it was done one by one. It's something that I didn't actually talk about in previous episodes because I actually forgot how they did it in the light novel. But I've been reading the light novel a little bit as the episodes have been airing, and I realized that they basically split up into two chapters basically. So chapter 8 was tackling the party itself, going over the Amphisbaena stuff and everything. And then chapter 9 was Belle and Ryu, where they are currently going up against the Skull Sheep, the flashback sequences with Ryu and the Estrella Familia, stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting to see that they've actually done a sort of simultaneous approach in the anime, and I think it's great because it keeps the viewer engaged. It keeps us looking for both sides of the coin, like, oh, this is happening to them, oh, what is happening over here, okay, we're gonna see this, what's happening over here with the party and stuff like that. I think they're doing it very, very well. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say down below about that perspective, because in my personal opinion, I really like the fact that they're doing that. Of course, in this episode we started off with Belle and Ryu, and of course specifically we started off with the Estrella Familia. Now, of course, if you haven't looked into the Estrella Familia or even the Estrella Records storyline in Danmachi Memoria Freese, this is a perfect opportunity to get into it because one, Estrella Record is being rerun in Danmachi Memoria Freese, so you can read it in game, or you can go onto YouTube and look at various channels like Taki's Game Room and Gacha Ampus, which, by the way, they do a great job in sort of taking the stories from the game and putting it on YouTube. You can go check them out. Of course, they're fantastic for that. But yeah, Estrella Record is a perfect opportunity to or I should say season 4, the episodes that we are in right now, is the perfect time for you to probably read the Estrella Record storyline. So obviously we get to see the Estrella Familia, and obviously the talks about the Rudra Familia and Jura basically trapping them and effectively doing what he did basically. So it was very interesting that they tackled that immediately, and I like the fact that they're doing the Estrella Familia stuff slowly. They're just injecting it slowly. I know some people are kind of impatient and want to see it immediately, but I think I like the way they're dragging it out slowly. I hope it doesn't get dragged out too much, but I like the way that they're teasing it a little bit, like, oh, this is exactly what's happening and this is exactly how it's turned out. We know the end result because we're seeing Ryu right now and we don't see any of the other Estrella Familia members, but it gives us a great idea as to, and it builds that suspense slowly but surely that, oh, there is an impending doom coming for this Familia, right? I love the way they did that, and I love the way they've obviously tackled, again, the Skull Sheep and Belle and Ryu. Obviously that was the start. The rest of the episode was actually pretty much focused in on Tsubaki's party, or Tsubaki and the Hostess of Fertility members, coming down to the lower floors, which I think they're doing a great job with them, dropping them in here and there. Obviously we know that they were coming anyways. It's in the light novels, but I like the way that they've been integrating them into the anime as sort of like that mini comic relief in between episodes while everything hectic is going around it, with Belle and Ryu, and then of course the party basically at the same time. Everybody else is mudded, but basically these guys are having the time of their life, just chatting with each other and making comedy sort of sort of dropping those one-liner comedy lines. Basically, I think it's really funny in that regards for sure. But yeah, we obviously see Tsubaki's party and stuff going down to the lower floors and stuff. We get a little bit of a mention of Anya's brother, of course, Alan, a little bit in there, which is kind of cool for sure. But of course, I know a lot of people want to talk about the second half of the episode when we talk about the party, which obviously they're on the 26th floor and they're trying to get towards Bell. Basically, they're trying to go towards Bell and see if they can rescue him. And it's super cool the way they've approached all the characters. It feels like every character has gotten something or the other. I know a lot of people are disappointed by Cassandra still. I saw a lot of my comments. Don't worry, I understand a lot of people are still very disappointed about the way JC staff are approaching Cassandra, and even I get it, because I would love to see Cassandra be shown in a better light than she has been in the anime for sure. But I feel like, I mean, again, I reiterate, Omori sensei has a supervision over the anime. If he didn't like it, he would have probably mentioned it. If this was season 3 or season 2, I would have absolutely agreed and said, yeah, it's absolutely necessary. I'm going to let Omori sensei be the one to decide it, to be quite honest, because even I get it. I know that there's a lot of difficulty in trying to portray everybody's golden moments, but it can be a bit daunting. And that is one of the issues I actually have with this episode, which is, it's not really an issue. It's a positive thing for one character, but it's a negative for Cassandra, because they gave a little bit of time to a certain character, which I'll get onto in just a moment. But they could have used that time to show Cassandra in a better light in the previous episode or something like that, right? I feel like, while certain characters are being preferred in the anime, and you can make an argument it's the same thing in the light novels as well. You could say that Omori sensei definitely has favorites, right? It feels weird that it's also happening in the anime significantly. It feels like, at least that's my personal opinion, is that you can tell that he has certain favorites, and that's just how it's gonna be, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, I like the way they've tackled each character and everything. And of course, you're seeing the troubles of all of these characters who are still low leveled. Obviously, we have Aisha, who's a level 4 and stuff like that, but the others are still lower leveled, and they're in basically the depths of hell effectively at this point, right? And it's so cool to see all of that happening at the same time. And then we find out that obviously one of the adventures that was around Bell during the first cour, of course, for the fight against the monster, is alive still, and they find him. Basically, they find him, they rescue him, they give him a little bit of support, of course, water and stuff like that. And he basically says, Bell's arm is cut off, his neck was snapped, I think he's dead, basically. And everybody's obviously shocked and stunned, because they didn't know about anything or what happened with Bell at this point in time. And it was great to see Lily have such a reaction, and then her inner monologue. And this is something they added, if I'm not mistaken, from the light novel. From my memory, and because I haven't gotten to that part yet in the light novel when I was reading it, that monologue that Lily had while she was running away from the monster and shooting back, that monologue doesn't exist in the light novel from my understanding. So it's weird that Lily is getting like this sort of stuff where she's getting a monologue and everything, an inner monologue, but on the other hand you have Cassandra not being treated right in the previous episode. So there is that factor. I feel like for sure there is favorites being played when it comes to the anime. But that's just how it is, I suppose. It's something to be critical about, but it's something that I don't think is going to change. And I highly doubt it will ever change, to be quite honest. And I think also another factor is, and this is my perspective, is that while Cassandra is a significant, sort of, I would say character. Yeah, character is the best way. I was going to say member, but character is a better word here. She's a significant character for this arc. At the end of the day, she is not in Bell's Familia. She's not part of this main cast of characters, you could say, right? The main party members. So you have Bell, Hestia, Lily, Ryu, Welf, Eyes. These are characters that are going to be focused on no matter what. And the fact that we don't see a focus on Cassandra, I feel like is a indirect consequence of that. At least that's my personal thought process and my thinking as to why we don't get that, but we get Lily's inner monologue, which doesn't even exist in the light novels. I could be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comment section, maybe if you guys have the light novels on you at the time of this recording and at the time you're watching this, you guys can let me know in the comment section down below if I'm right or wrong. I'll check it after the recording, but right now I'm just going off of the top of my head. But yeah, like I said, it's just weird that, you know, when Cassandra deserves to have her moments, she doesn't get it, but Lily gets an extra moment, which you can make an argument and say she didn't necessarily need it, but it is nice to have for sure, right? It is definitely nice to have. And overall, obviously we see them going down the floors. They encounter floor 27 mobs again on floor 26, which is really weird, but that's happening. So overall, obviously we're just seeing the party try and survive. We see them realize what's happened with Belle. And we also realize that obviously you've got these characters still putting their trust and faith in Belle and wanting to get to him no matter what. You know, Aisha, for example, the way she spoke and the way she encouraged everybody by saying, you know, Belle is not likely dead. We'll still try and find him, at least if we can find a body. That's bare minimum, right? I think that was great. And then, of course, we see at the end, Welf, you know, deciding it's time for the magic swords to come out, baby. It's time for the magic swords to come out. And he builds a blacksmith. I'm very excited to see how that turns out in the next episode. And overall, it's going to be very fascinating to see how they handle Welf, because this is where Welf comes into his own sort of as well. This mini sort of section, basically. So I'm very excited and I'm very curious to see how they handle it in the next episode for sure. And yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Like I said, some niggling issues realistically with the characters and how they're handling and how they're making certain characters get preferential treatment, but overall I think it's still well handled for the most part in terms of the arc and the way they're telling the story. I think it's being still well handled. In all honesty, I think it's still well handled. All right, let's check the Reddit out and see what everybody else has to say down below. I'm gonna refresh the page because I've had this page up for quite a while, so I'm gonna refresh it to see if anybody else has added any comments. Of course, you can go check out the r/Danmachi Reddit, and maybe next week if you guys want to leave some comments, you can leave it in the Reddit. All right, I'm just baffled by how good the season 4 adaptation is compared to the previous seasons. Firstly, the decision to adapt the Belle, Ryu versus the cruise or party scene simultaneously instead of doing it one by one like in the light novels is more engaging. I absolutely agree. Now, they even added Lily's... Okay, so some people are also saying the same thing, where Lily's monologue is not being shown in the light novels, but it is here, of course. And then you obviously have the simultaneous approach of Belle and Ryu and the parties being shown at the same time. I think it's really good, like this guy said, and I've mentioned it at the start of this video. They're doing a good job with this, and they're handling it extremely well. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how well it gets handled from here on out. I'm very curious to see how it goes. Another solid episode. It's been quite a while since I read last read volume 14, so I can't recall. A lot of people are actually just going into the anime completely blind. Even light novel readers like myself are going completely blind. They're playing this fully chronologically? No. So I did confirm that. Chapter 8 is mainly the Amphisbaena stuff and the party, and then chapter 9 is Belle and Ryu stuff going on the side, basically. So there is that. Anya and the rescue squad, on the other hand, really bring the comic relief into the equation. Much needed too, for sure. Welf's chance to shine is finally here. Yes, I'm very excited about the Welf stuff, for sure. They keep on teasing us with these Ryu flashback snippets. I'm thinking they're going to use these as the lead in episodes for the next 3 to 4 episodes as well. Yeah, I'd say 3 episodes makes sense. I think 3 episodes would be a fair shout. 3 to 4 episodes is definitely a main shout. Yeah, I think they're kind of teasing everybody so that it doesn't, you know, it sort of keeps that suspense going up and keeps you wanting to come back in the following week to see what happens. Even though we technically know the end result, it's the process on how it exactly happened that everybody wants to see, you know. So that's going to be very interesting for sure. Never before have I been so desperate for an episode to continue, not because it left on a cliffhanger, but genuinely I'm so engaged with what's going on and how they've paced this season. I'm always like, if they're gonna wonder if they're gonna cut the scene, and then nope, it shows up sometimes in even more detail than the LN. It's such a treat. This is how you do an anime adaptation. The decision to have the first part of Belle and Ryu's journey in Floor 2037 coincide with the rest of the party instead of doing it like the LN was an incredibly bold move. I wasn't sure that it would work, but I think this episode cemented that it has. I think it's been done well. I've been saying it for the last couple of episodes. I like the way they've been doing it simultaneously, because in my personal opinion, doing it one by one would lead to it being like, okay, we forgot that the party's over here, and then we are like, oh, Bell and Ryu is over here, it gets kind of confusing, and it gets kind of, it kind of breaks the flow effectively. I love the fact that they're doing the simultaneous stuff, but yeah. Astray Familia in the beginning are so much fun, man. I wish I had a whole anime season focused on them. Oh, well, I guess Astray Record will have to surprise. Yeah, you guys have to read Astray Record. Trust me when I say this. It's a really good story. And it features a lot of stuff. A younger Loki and Freya Familia. The Astray Familia probably at not necessarily their peak, but at their finest moments, I would say. So, yeah, definitely. I think next episode should conclude this dual journey adaptation between Hestia Familia and Bell and Ryu, as it's going to be all Bell and Ryu. I would say 2-3 episodes. Like the guy said above, I'd say 3 episodes makes a bit of... well, actually, he said 3 episodes for the lead-ins. Never mind. My bad. I think 2 episodes to 3 episodes makes sense for sure. Alright, final score is 9 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 adaptation. Obviously, no major fight or amazing piece of animation occurred. So, in terms of an episode, it's a 9 out of 10. I would say... a 9 out of 10, yeah, makes sense. 8 out of 10. I don't think it's a perfect adaptation, I think a perfect adaptation would be like just gorgeous animations, 3D CGI, everything is beautiful. So far, I would say across the entire season so far, part 2 that is, probably an 8 out of 10 is a solid score for me personally. The atmosphere is a bit off. There's not enough desperation leading to Wells' decision. In the light novel, the party was supposed to be extremely exhausted with no time to catch their breath, horde after horde of monsters, and they can see death itself in their eyes because they reached a dead end. They were just waiting for their deaths. That's the kind of putting their lives in his hand. I think it was shown enough, to be quite honest, because at the end of the day, one, they were exhausted. We could tell they were exhausted. They've just literally fought a huge monster. Mikoto's nearly dead. Haruhime is unconscious, so no level up, cheese basically from Haruhime. Unconscious, extremely tired, I should say, more so than anything else. You've got an adventurer who's basically seen death in the eyes of it and has now joined the party. I think these guys are exhausted. Let's be real. These guys are exhausted. We've seen how much they've gone through in the last couple of episodes. This is the reason why they're doing this sort of simultaneous thing. Now, if we hadn't had a simultaneous thing and we came back later on and this was the scene we came back to, I get it, because it would seem like, oh, they've had a big break and, they're fine. But we've seen in the last couple of episodes that there has been desperation. They have fallen. They're exhausted. They cannot challenge these floor 27 mobs anymore. There needs to be something happening. There needs to be something. And Wells' magic swords are the only option here, realistically. So, in my opinion, yeah, I think that's going to be... That's something that's fine, in my personal opinion. He understands why they directed it like this, because it's heavy in dialogue and it would be weird. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it was handled well. I really realistically don't see the reason why... they should do any more than that. I mean, at that point, you're basically asking them to be overwhelmed in terms of, like, monsters are literally on top of them, like, literally, they're on the floor, which didn't necessarily happen. They needed to give Wealth the space to do the blacksmithing stuff, and hence why they've got this sort of, like, barrier surrounding him, effectively, right? So, yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Alright, Boris and Aisha Bralette have the biggest plot armor. If love and trust ain't more like what Lily got for Belle, I don't want it. Big gamble that Wolf is taking, but with only one strike of his blade left, what's really to lose? Proud of him for being brave to do it. Hype for next week. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited for next week. I'm very much looking forward to the next episode. Let's actually go back to the main Danmachi posts and let's see the anime watcher side of things. Let's see if there's any comments there, maybe. Young Ryu has some eyes, looks, and vibes. Fair enough. It is really nice to see the rest of the party do stuff. Also, when Welf started to tell them his plan, the version of Heroic Desire playing was beautiful. Well, there you go. It's basically his version of Heroic Desire. There you go. Happy dog guy. Somebody already answered your question up top. But yeah, I really like this episode. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comment section down below. I personally loved it. I do think, like I said, I have some issues with it, but not necessarily in relation to their decisions for this episode in particular, but more so the overall season so far and certain characters and how they're being handled. Because at the end of the day, while I'm okay with it, I know a lot of people aren't okay with it, and a lot of people aren't okay with some of the decisions they made, such as, Haruhime's Goliath robe and how that was handled, the plot armor there. That being said, Omori's got plot armor left, right, and center. I mean, let's be real. If you read any of the recent light novels, you know already. Then you obviously have the Cassandra stuff. So I get it. I absolutely do get it. But that's something that they've taken as a decision. And for most people, I'd assume for the casual fan base, it would look amazing and it would look really, really cool. But I understand for the more, you know, invested fans, people who've read the light novels, it would be like, hang on a second, how does this work? What the hell are you doing? So there is that factor. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this episode down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.